What is going on? Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys being here on today's show for this breaking update as Alabama has just landed another prospect in Jamarion Matthews, right? We're going to talk about him. This is a big prospect. This is a big pickup. And I think when you start to look at the last 2 days, it's starting to feel pretty good for the Alabama Crimson Tide, the class of 2026. So breaking news as it happens, major news as it happens, and I think this one is a pretty big one. Yo, if you're excited about Jamarion Matthews coming into the Alabama Crimson Tide, give a thumbs up inside the comment box. Hats off to number one, the coaching staff, right, for solidifying a class of 2026 prospect of this magnitude. And, what's interesting is this young man was from Alabama, right? He was at Sparkman High School, right, in Harvest, Alabama. And then he's transferring out to Georgia. So you want to get upset about, not getting in-state guys. Well, this guy is from Alabama, grew up as an Alabama Crimson Tide football fan. Here's the profile on three. And I know, I'm sure they have, articles and quotes. So, whatever your recruiting site is, go check it out. But I think this is a celebration. I mean, this whole month has been pretty quiet on the recruiting front. And I don't often like to talk about the recruiting stuff because I'm just like, until you sign, that is when you're committed. Even if you've said you've shut down the process, we've seen that a million times. It's kind of like you've been burned before. So in this particular case, though, I'm excited about it. I mean, this guy grew up an Alabama Crimson Tide football family. He's an edge rusher, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about him. But I want to go to this graphic because Freddie Roach getting a lot of praise here in terms of bringing in a prospect of that caliber. So Sparkman High School had a really big season. Now he'll be at Gainesville in Georgia. So, give Kalen DeBoer and his staff, some grace. They did get another Alabama guy, okay? But Freddie Roach, I think, sometimes – I don't know, for whatever it is, sometimes this guy, in terms of like recruiting, people say, well, he's not a good, you can't develop guys. He's not good at recruiting. I don't know. I disagree. I think Coach Roach has been doing a really good job. Plus, he's the associate head coach here at the University of Alabama. He's cut from the Coach Saban coaching tree. He was retained, him and Robert Gillespie, and today helps Alabama solidify a big-time prospect. As you can see, depending on which site you look at. In fact, here's Rivals' database profile. They still have him at Sparkman, which is in Harvest, Alabama, but up on three, which is updated, has it Gainesville. He's a 4-star overall, national top 200 player. Looks like in the state of Georgia, he's a top 25 type player. So I would imagine that, these rankings are updated and all that stuff. Ruben inside the comment box is pointing out that he had 17 sacks in one season. Is that correct? That is absolutely crazy. For one season. That's got to be like a record. Dear Henner, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Breaking news as Jamarion Matthews has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Low 4-star, Shane Bean say, will he get the Bama bump? I would imagine that he gets the Bama bump at some point. It's interesting because yesterday, Alabama pulled in another prospect. Before we go, any further with Jamarion Matthews, let's kind of rewind the tape real quick and look at the prospects that have committed to Alabama. Now Alabama up to 3 prospects in the class of 2026. It's so early, right? I mean, there's been times where you don't have a lot of prospects until summer. And I think, and I'm predicting, I don't make like recruiting predictions or anything. I have no idea what, teenagers are going to do. But last year, that's when Kalen DeBoer, Courtney Morgan, they came up with the cold summer, and they really started to bring in a lot of prospects from that class of 2025, which turned out to be a top class, right? So let me pause on this real quick as I get the news out, because this is all just kind of fresh out the kitchen. But give me your assessment in terms of your excitement level with Jamarion Matthews committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. On a scale of like 1 to 10, how you feeling about it? You guys really excited? You guys feeling really good? Is this a good sign for the class of 2025 early on? I think it's pretty impressive. This is a big pickup, and I like whether you're going in-state or you want to call him a Georgia prospect. I don't care. Let me get this up real quick as I'm doing everything as it happens. All right. want to make sure when I'm multitasking, I'm not doing the misspellings and stuff. I run it all 100% myself. So if you're just jumping in, Jamarion Matthews has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Sparkman High School last year in Harvest, Alabama, now transferred to Gainesville in Georgia. Looks like a top 25 top player in the state of Georgia. I don't know about all that. I mean, Jamarion. All right, Mac, I'll as we continue to go forward, I'll come back and circle on that. So I appreciate it, Mac. Thank you so much for being here. Todd is saying this is an 8 out of 10. Shane is saying it's a 7. G inside the comment box is saying now we just need Xavier Crowd to jump on board. I kind of think this is a big pickup too. Usually, I kind of let it like marinate a little bit with like class of 2026 stuff, especially now during this time of month. But I don't know. I think it's a big testament to what Coach Kalen DeBoer has coming in. And again, Freddie Roach playing a huge part in this as you look to Alabama's coaching staff and kind of what they've done so far with the early class of 2026. And I don't think that Alabama is really pressed on heavy just yet. I know they had that junior day, but they're going to build a lot of momentum at some point in time. I don't know if that'll be during the springtime after the transfer portal window, or if that'll be kind of in the summertime when a lot of these guys are coming in. But, as I was saying on my earlier show, if you got the morning show, I still feel that Coach Kalen DeBoer probably didn't get enough credit for the class that he built from last season. Would you agree with that? Because there was a lot of things that maybe went south or whatever. And we're going to always just focus on the 4 losses and the fact that didn't pull out Jalen Milroe. Well, for a guy that just came in, who really is working on building up his relationships with the Southeast, and that's going to continue to develop. It's already happening. For the first year, number 3 recruiting class or number 2 or whatever you want to call it, that is absolutely monumental. So Coach Kalen DeBoer here picking up its 3rd prospect of the class of 2026. Henry, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Yesterday, Alabama picked up another prospect, right? And which was Chris Booker, who I think is like a 3 or 4-star, depending on which site you want to go to. I believe he was offered by Kentucky and Mississippi State. A lot of this stuff is so early, right? But he's a 4-star prospect, offensive lineman, 6'4", 270 pounds. You guys who follow the recruiting, let me ask you the same thing on a prospect that committed yesterday. What are you guys thinking on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you feeling about Chris Booker coming in? Right? It's kind of nice. You lose Tyler Booker, and then, in the future, you're going to have Chris Booker coming in. And he'll be taking his official visit May 30th. And each of these guys grew up Alabama football fans. And I think we're going to continue to see that, in recruiting articles because of Coach Saban, right? Coach Saban made so many people Alabama football fans. And that's why I always am arguing, the brand of Alabama football it's still so huge. Whichever way you want to go, Alabama's brand is just solidified 1,000,000%. And this is another pickup that was yesterday. All right, so this is breaking news. As news happens, major news happens. Sometimes if it's really major, put on the tie and all that stuff. No, I was out running some errands today and had some stuff to take care of. But Chris Booker in yesterday, and then Jamarion Matthews has committed to Alabama. Now, this isn't updated, what you're seeing. This right here, 1 through 5, looks to be updated, but this next screen, I need to update this. So let's just go over where kind of the national rankings stand. And I showed this graphic this morning. Oregon has 10 total commitments. USC has 9. Texas A&M has 9. Don't be alarmed with Alabama currently being unranked. Again, this is on 3. They'll update this later. But now Alabama has 3 prospects, right? And you're going to have, and I don't know if that'll move them up, past top 50. But the point is you have other prospects or other teams kind of in this category as well. So if you're out there and you're like, oh, I'm, worried about Alabama's class of 2026, don't worry about it. Let it kind of, fall into place. And I would imagine the majority of Alabama's recruiting class comes in the summertime. 1904, what's up, man? I'm trying my best to recruit Brandon Harrington to Bama Kyle. My little brother is close friends with him. That's what's up, man. Yeah, I would imagine there's a lot of that happening. Kimberly, what's up? Alabama should be number 1 by the season's end, I would imagine you're saying. Todd Tipton talking about Cleveland, right? That's Rodney Cleveland. Man, you know what? Defensive linemen are so hard to recruit. And it looks like Matthews is kind of that outside edge type player that's coming in, which I think is, you look kind of at Alabama's current roster now, who's on board, and kind of the younger guys in that area, like Noah Carter, Justin Hill. But look at Matthews, 6'3", 240 pounds. And I'm not going to lie, I think when you look to kind of other prospects, I guess in the state of Alabama, I mean, theoretically, you could have said that Matthews is from Alabama. I mean, he played last year at, Harvest. But Anthony Jones, can you imagine at the end all, right, if you got Anthony Jones and Matthews, those are your guys that you're able to bring in? Todd, what do you think, man? I know you follow I know you follow recruiting. Where do you guys think? Let me ask you this, just straight up. Tell me this. The number one prospect in the state of Alabama right now, and everyone's saying that Auburn's going to clean up with all these guys. Do you think that Anthony Jones, at the end of the day, will be a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide? Type Y if you think so. Type N if you don't. Man, I'm Anthony Jones. I'll be excited about him. And, Coach Kalen DeBoer, I mean, that was the first guy that you saw in this class of 2026. He was down in Mobile, right, visiting with him. I think it was him and, Christian Robinson. Todd is saying yes. I'm going to go out and I think so, too. I feel something kind of percolating there. That would be – think about this because, Coach Kalen DeBoer, you're like, well, he's never gone. Who's his first guy from L.A.? Well, it's Ryan Williams. That was the first guy he got. And who knows about this Xavier Crowd down here. Alabama has so many running backs. Does he want to come over? That would be gigantic too. And that would stop people from saying, he's not winning in-state. I think that's an area that has to improve. I think it'll get there. But if you get Anthony Jones and Xavier Crowell in this class, and kind of getting back to what Courtney Morgan said, they're going after prospects that fit the program. I think Anthony Jones and Xavier Crowell fit the program. So press on those guys. And I think Morgan didn't he just release his top 6, which clearly Alabama and Auburn part of it. Big get though today as the Crimson Tide have just landed Jamarion Matthews out of I guess we'll call it Gainesville right now, Georgia. I know you guys were waiting for a little while. I was wondering, when he was going to pull the trigger, but here it was. Oh, Todd's talking about Naheem Oford inside the comment box. I mean, sometimes you get the top guy from the state. Sometimes you don't. I mean, Coach Saban did a really good job of always taking care of the backyard. I think that's why we're accustomed to it. But Matthews, I'm going to call him an in-state prospect. As I continue to talk about him, I'm going to talk about him an in-state prospect. 1904 is talking about Turbo Rogers. Man, that was a clear, Turbo Rogers was committed to Alabama for such a long time. In the end, though, he goes elsewhere and you get A.K. Deer. I'm not mad about it. Jarvis, what's up, man? My boy. Coming in this afternoon. All right, look. So Matthews is in, and I think kind of this next week, maybe we'll start to break down a little bit of films from some of these 2026 prospects. But let me show you something real quick. Just out from the University of Alabama. I'm sure you follow their social media page. But you got more picks of the fourth quarter program. All right, let me go full screen here. I love these fourth quarter program photos. Look, all right, top left. Let me just point out a couple things that I'm seeing. So someone pointed out, and this keeps staying on my mind, that all the shirts are tucked in. I don't know why we're making such a big deal about this, but I love it. I don't know. Well, can someone go back and see if the shirts were tucked in last season? He got Ryan Williams up here doing work. He got Parker Brailsford, right? Jameer Latham. Here, look who's putting in absolute work right here. Ty Simpson. I don't know. Sometimes, look, it's hard not to get excited for these guys. I can't even imagine the hunger and anticipation that these guys have for spring football. But as I spoke about it on my morning show, and I'll go through it real quick, Here was a quote from Coach Caitlin DeBoer, a great article by Charlie Potter of Bama Online, probably one of the best in the business, talking about had an interview, and he says the rules haven't changed, the consequences haven't changed. I think our discipline and our focus on the right things is extremely high, and it continues to go up. So you want to see that discipline factor right now for Alabama, but this is my kind of the meat of my show was talking about these spring football games and how college football is changing, and a lot of them are now canceled, right? Texas canceled, and this is what Steve Sarkisian said on the Up and Adams podcast recently. He said, no, we're not going to have a spring football game, right? College football is changing right now, and we need to do a great job as coaches to adapt to that. And I think reading between the lines, you look at the schools that have canceled their spring football games. I mean, think about the last, 2 years, how much college football has changed, even within the last year. I mean, I would have never thought 5 years ago. Never in my wildest dreams would you be thinking about me asking you, should Alabama have a spring football game? That was our poll question this morning. And everything has just completely changed. Texas canceled theirs, Nebraska, USC, and Florida State. Now, while most Alabama fans, probably 99% of them, want to see Alabama have a spring football game, that stupid transfer window after that allows for free market on Alabama's roster. That's not fair. It's not cool. I mean, this is what Matt Rule had to say. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It was just absolutely free, open, common market. And so I don't necessarily want to open up the outside world. I don't want these guys being able to watch our guys and say, wow, he looks pretty good. Let's go get him. That's crazy. You imagine, someone said this morning on the show, they were like, Lane Kiffin have Alabama spring game on the Jumbotron, and fans are just be like, go after him, go after him, go after him. Man, wild. Earlier this week, Coach Caitlin DeBoer did an interview with Alex Scarborough of 24/7. Really great article talking about the Alabama quarterbacks. I'll run through this real quick. He said all three are passing first quarterbacks and guys that can athletically extend plays. I think this is very interesting because sometimes I think just because Jalen Milroe left, you might think, well, Alabama doesn't have a quarterback that can run. It's false. All these quarterbacks have athleticism to extend plays, right? Talked about Ty having the overall experience, Austin Mack, the fact that he had a nice fall, and Keelan Russell talked about just his overall skill set. So those are some of the things that were released by some great team writers, whether you follow 24/7 or Rivals, On 3, whatever it is. But, the main topic of the show, or this breaking news update, rather, is the fact that Alabama has landed its third prospect from the class of 2026, right? Jamarion Matthews, 6'3", 240 pounds. Harvest, Alabama, just transferred, though, to Gainesville. So whatever your recruiting source is, definitely go read those articles and eat it up. I hope you're having an amazing Friday. I appreciate you hopping on for this breaking news update. As major news happens, I got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube. My hope is that you have a blessed weekend. Stay where your feet are at. Enjoy this beautiful thing we got called life. And I'm just so grateful for you guys rocking with me every time we can get on here and talk Alabama football. All right. Guys feeling good? Feel Good Friday? Man, I got the blazer on. You guys be good people. Enjoy your class of 2026 recruiting coverage. Hey, and look, all the recruiting sites and all those great writers and podcasters and YouTube creators out there, big channel, small channel, please support them. I promise you, these guys are doing their absolute best to bring you Alabama football content or college football content. Got love for every single one of them, and I respect the hell out of them for putting in the work. From beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you, God, for this opportunity. And have an amazing rest of your Friday. But if news happens, I'll be back. All right, enjoy it. Let me know what you think about the newest commit, Jamarion Matthews, inside the comment box, and catch you as news happens. Have a nice Friday, fam. Love you guys.